response that I've read to your criticism of natural language processing and statistical machine learning. I'm wondering if you could maybe give your most updated argument against, or your opinion of natural language processing and statistical machine learning, and kind of how you think those fields are, what their deficits are with respect to.
Well, I actually took a position on that in 1955, which I haven't changed. I had just, gotten out of college, finished my PhD. I didn't have any opportunity to have a job anywhere because my field didn't exist. But I was offered a position at MIT. It's a science-based university. They don't really care much whether you have credentials, fortunately for me. But the job was offered to me was at the research lab of electronics in machine translation, natural language processing. And they were trying then to develop a linguistics section which they thought would yield insight and understanding into language which would make it possible to do effective machine translation. And I told the director of the lab, Jerry Wiesner, later became Kennedy's science advisor, MIT president. I told him, I'm perfectly happy to have the job, but I'm not going to work on machine translation. And he asked why, and I said, the reason is we're so far from having a principled understanding that could contribute to solving this problem that it's just the wrong way to proceed. I think it should be done by brute force. And about 30 years later, IBM came around to the great discovery that they should do it by brute force. And that's the way it's done. So I think that's okay. I mean, I use the Google translator. It's kind of useful. There's absolutely no intellectual interest. It is literally brute force. It's about as interesting as a big bulldozer, which is fine. I have no objection to bulldozers either. So all of this is fine. If you don't understand a problem, and that is most problems, you do the best you can with the technology that you have available. And in fact, if you think of the history of engineering, it really wasn't until about the 1950s that the sciences, fundamental sciences, had very much to contribute to engineering. So when I got to MIT in the 50s, there were very good physics and math departments, but they were service departments. They were teaching the engineers tricks so they could solve some of their problems a little better when they were designing bridges or making circuits and so on. There was a big change right at that period, mainly because a huge amount of Pentagon money that went into basic science and technology, and a change took place. 10 years later, MIT was not an engineering school. By the 1960s, when some of you guys came, it was a science university. There was engineering, but it was basically a kind of applied an application of the basic sciences. So by now students take pretty much the same courses, whatever engineering discipline they're in. They take basic math, basic physics, basic chemistry, biology, and there's some application to their particular field. That's a huge change. That's physics. We're here talking about cognitive science, studying human intelligence. Nobody knows anything about that. It's a very hard topic. So the chances of getting a principled explanation, one with theoretical interest, I think it's important to work on. I mean, it's an extremely important topic we'd like to understand about ourselves, but the idea that there are going to be direct applications, I think, is pretty utopian. So you do it by brute force. So I have no objection to it.
Thank you.